Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. All right, welcome to the week, Monday. Dun dun dun. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Um, Today's topic is a video request from somebody on YouTube, and I'm going to read their request because I think we'll get the full context there, and then I will address the topic. So, first, I'm going to just slow down, get myself centered. Do the same. Relax your body. Loosen your shoulders. Slow. All right. So, dear Dan, in all capital letters, please, can you do more videos on anxiety, which is a scared brain manifesting emotionally and psychologically as opposed to physically? General anxiety disorder, acrophobia, panic attacks, internal monologue, feelings of disassociation and derealization, etc., and more ways to shift from an internal focus and attention to external again. Okay. So there's a lot in there, and I'll try to touch on a lot of that. So, right off the bat, if you've been following me, you'll know that my belief is that what causes symptoms is a brain perceiving danger, basically a scared brain, and in some cases a terrified brain. Anxiety fits under that same exact umbrella. Some people think anxiety is the problem, and that's giving me all my symptoms. No. The issue is the brain is perceiving danger. The brain is scared. The brain is always on high alert looking out for danger. And when it looks out for danger all the time, it finds it. And if it doesn't find it, it's going to help you go look for it, right? So anxiety is nothing more than a symptom. Anxiety is not the root cause of everything that's going on. Anxiety is a symptom. And unfortunately, it gets labeled. General anxiety disorder, GAD. Some people walk around with that stamped on their forehead. I've got an anxiety disorder. So the first thing I'm going to suggest to this lovely person, from the UK, by the way, disconnect from the label. It's not a disorder. It is something you are experiencing. And even if you are experiencing it on a persistent basis, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong or you're broken. It just means that you are caught up in the fear and the labeling of anxiety. And as this person indicated, there's an internal monologue. And a lot of times that monologue is catastrophizing, and I don't like this, and how do I get rid of this? And unfortunately, many people are so conditioned by their doctors, the recommendation for meds, society in general, you've got an anxiety disorder, which means you're broken and you've got to fix it, that many people get caught up in this belief that, wow, I'm broken. And then they get into anxiety and even panic attacks, which this person mentioned, trying to get rid of anxiety. When in fact, anxiety is a state of being. It is not, in my opinion, a disease or a disorder. It's just the result of a brain perceiving danger. So a brain perceiving danger gets into the fight or flight response, which is a survival mode, right? Immediate, urgent, survival is what the fight or flight response is, what we were evolved to deal with. It was not designed to get us into that same state of physiology and mental state for going to the grocery store or being in a crowded place, right? We can get caught up into this fight or flight fear response by even having a thought, waking up and saying, oh, I'm feeling anxious, boom, adrenaline, cortisol. And with that fight or flight response, the adrenaline and cortisol certainly creates certain feelings in the body, right? And that's partly what's going on with anxiety. That fear response creates the adrenaline, cortisol, and that physical sensation, we can sense it. It's real. It's in our body. Could be a faster heart rate, could be palpitations, could be the shakes, could be an upset stomach, could be any number of things that show up physically as a result of anxiety, which likely equates to adrenaline and cortisol being raised. And so, when we panic about anxiety, what we're doing is keeping the adrenaline and cortisol cranking. And then we start to combine the physical sensations of adrenaline and cortisol with the thinking about, oh my goodness, I hate this. This is crippling. How do I get out of it? Panic attack, derealization, depersonalization, which is when the brain goes, whoa, everything's too intense. Let's check out. Very overly simplified explanation of it, but that's kind of my view on it. There's a great book by Claire Weekes, Hope and Help for Your Nerves, and she has a chapter on depersonalization, derealization, and how to deal with it. And, her approach kind of mimics mine. Now, she was here 50 years before me, but my point is, the overall response is, this is an experience, and I'm going to get through it. Calm, reassurance, allow it, right? The DARE app, same thing, same exact approach. D for diffuse. It's okay if I have anxiety. A, allow, accept. I allow and accept the fact that I'm currently feeling this sensation called anxiety. R, if it's fearful, run towards it. Right? Come on, brain, give me more. Why does that work? Because for fear, anxiety, and panic attacks, when you say, give me more, you're basically showing your brain, I'm not afraid. Well, what happens to panic attacks and anxiety when you're not afraid of them? They fizzle out much quicker than if you're constantly striving and running away and trying to get rid of it and fighting with it, which creates more perceived danger. And then the E for DARE, D-A-R-E, means engage. Engage in life. And it was fascinating because I had been doing years of daily videos before I really took the time to buy the DARE book. And I was really pleased to see that this guy, Barry McDonough, who is well known in the anxiety space, had an approach to anxiety that mimicked the approach I teach for pain and anxiety. And so that was encouraging. And then to see Claire Weekes, that the things I came up on my own were actually supported by her work from years ago. So there's a consensus that anxiety doesn't need to be fought and eliminated. Not a huge fan of anxiety meds. Look, if you're taking them and they benefit you, wonderful. Take them till you don't need them. They will not prevent recovery, but if you're not on them, I don't believe a pill will resolve your anxiety issues, because you have to understand it first. Then we have to teach the brain that we're actually okay, and that anxiety means nothing harmful is going on. Even a panic attack, as intense as they can be, they are the epitome of a physical response to an emotional event called fear. But even those are not harmful. I think it's been said that 20 to 30% of emergency room visits are panic attacks. And so they'll check them out, make sure their heart's okay and their vitals are good. And then that 20 to 30% of people are sent home from the emergency room because nothing critical is happening. The brain kind of panicked and fired up a whole bunch of symptoms that go along with panic attacks. And anxiety is a lesser version of that. But none of it is dangerous. None of it is harmful. And the only thing that makes it crippling is our belief that it is a problem we must solve instantly, and our desire to run away from it and fix it. And like there's a desperate need, and love and respect to this person. It's a wonderful question. But you can even tell how caught up in the anxiety and panic they are when the first two words are all capital letters. Please, please. Right? That shows a great degree of fear. And what I'm encouraging this person, this lovely lady from London, UK, is to relax because it's not harmful. It's just a fear state. It's just alarm systems going off in our body and in our brain. So what do we do about it? Right? Because that's essentially what she's asking. How do we shift from this internal focus of our thoughts and our physical sensations of anxiety to external, like living our life? Well, believe it or not, the solution for anxiety is the same as it is for run-of-the-mill back pain or some of the crazy sensations and symptoms that some of the people have. It's all the same. Why? Because the brain perceiving danger is the root cause of all of it. A scared brain perceiving danger will turn on an alarm system. Sometimes it's a panic attack. The alarms are loud. Sometimes it's anxiety. The alarms are not as loud. Sometimes it's back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, fibromyalgia where it's all around the body, migraines, gastric distress, IBS, pains, bloating, right? Bladder issues, frequency, urgency, pains. But it's all the same stuff. The brain is just saying, hey, we got a problem. Oh, meep, right? So, understanding that all of the pains, all of the anxieties, and even depression is coming from a brain perceiving danger. My view on depression, real quick, deep, deep sadness plus no hope. No hope that I'm going to get out of this. And for many people who have chronic symptoms, chronic anxiety, panic attacks, chronic pains, chronic other things going on, if they don't have hope that they can get out of it, they can fall into what is defined as depression, which is deep sadness, despair, and no hope. So my goal is to offer these little bits of hope every single day, whether it be me or a success story. Dish out the hope. Hope that you can get better, because hope is an extremely powerful thing. Treva, the lady who did a success story, I think it was yesterday, somebody said, what did she do? Well, as I listened back to it, the one thing I mostly observed was she went from having no clue what was going on to hearing about Sarno and then finding a success story for trigeminal neuralgia. And what did that do? It gave her hope. There's a way out. And that helped minimize the fear and the catastrophic thoughts that I'm never getting out of this. And that was one of the biggest things that she really grabbed onto. Now, she did use journaling. But over time, what she learned was, there's a way out, and I can do this. Right? So hope is very powerful. Don't dismiss that. It's not false hope. It's accurate hope. It's accurate hope based on how the system functions. And when you work within the system to give the scared brain factual information, you can neutralize the fear, neutralize that perceived danger, and that is when symptoms can start to turn down. That includes anxiety and panic. So, for somebody looking at this video topic and saying, I hope Dan gives me something new for anxiety that's different from pain, hate to disappoint you. It's all the same thing. We got to teach this scared brain that this thing you are trying to get rid of is not in fact harmful, and that nothing dangerous is going on. It's a false alarm, and it's temporary, right? So what do I teach? We want to teach safety. Mentally, don't believe your own scary thoughts, right? And for this person, they're wondering, how do I get out of that internal monologue? Don't believe it. I don't need to think about that. And then shift. So mentally, don't believe your own thinking, especially when it's catastrophic. Oh no, I'm in trouble, right? You can remind yourself you're okay, calm reassurance. But start out by just saying, I don't have to believe that. Why? Because you've learned about this process. and that can be very calming. So number 2, teach your brain that emotions are safe, right? Just because you get sad or angry or somebody around you gets angry, that doesn't mean your symptoms have to flare. Now that may be what's happening, because the brain can interpret many things, including emotions, as the danger. So what do? My approach is not to go, digging up, journaling everything from your past. My approach is simply this. Allow yourself to feel your right now emotions without judging yourself harshly for having them. And then drop the story. You already know why you're angry, for example. You don't need to replay the story of what pissed you off. You already know it. So feel it without judgment so it can pass. Over time, your brain will learn that emotions are safe. Perfect. Safety about emotions means eventually the brain will stop triggering symptoms when you get emotional. Teaching your brain that you're okay physically. Well, that starts with understanding that, pain and other symptoms are most often, not a physical flaw in your body. So that knowledge is very good in teaching your brain that you're okay physically. But then a relaxed body, breathing comfortably, those things are very useful, right? How you respond to symptoms. That's another great way of teaching the brain that you're actually okay. Because if you respond to symptoms and anxiety with panic, you're perpetuating the fear and the danger. So responding calmly and reassuringly, because you know how the system works and you've done the assessments and you know this stuff is temporary, you can respond less bothered over time, right? And so it's important to move in that direction, respond as well as you can. I also suggest that re-engaging in life to the best of your ability. I know some of us can't based on the limits of our symptoms, but as much as you can, start expanding your capacity to do more. And then that will teach you that, wow, if I did that, I can do more than that. And we do it gradually. The more terrified we are, the more gradual we go. If we're confident, we can jump in. And so the last thing is wrapping all of this up with the mindset that says, I'm not broken. This is just a brain perceiving danger, and I know I can teach the brain that I'm going to be okay. This is temporary. It's false alarms. I'm in the right place. I know I can get well. So I hope this really gives everybody some insight, at least as to Dan's take on anxiety. If you go search the web, you're going to find all sorts of different views on it. I don't like the GAD, General Anxiety Disorder label, because all it does is, with the label, if you accept it, you now are accepting you've got a disorder, which creates fear and a belief that you're broken. And I don't like carrying around medical labels or psychological labels, mental health labels, that say you're broken. I don't buy it. The brain is scared, yes. Can we neutralize that fear with a deeper understanding and acceptance that that's what's going on with me? Absolutely. People are doing it all the time. And there's plenty of people who are utilizing the things I teach to eliminate their symptoms, and they realize that their anxiety is getting better too. Their depression is lifting. And in some cases, there is a little thing where when the brain starts to believe that the body's okay, it's still hypervigilant. And in some cases, towards the end, anxiety can increase. Don't panic. It's common. It's normal. Stay calm. Reassure yourself that it's just a wave. You got rid of some physical symptoms, or they're getting better, but the anxiety's increasing. Don't panic. It's normal. It will pass too when you treat the anxiety with the same disregard, dismissal, lack of concern as you did the other symptoms. So I hope this helps, folks. And thank you to this person for submitting the question. It was a great topic of discussion. I think it was well needed. And we really can't talk about anxiety enough because it's so common. So, love all you folks. And as always, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.